Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. It's early most of the time when I get a chance to make a post. It's kind of early. This is a new day. This is a new month. This is March 2nd. And I'm reminded that this is the day that I was born, March 2nd. So this is my birthday. I'm so glad to be here. And I want to thank the power that made it possible for me to be here at all from the beginning until this date. I want to thank God. And thanking God and remembering that I am my mother's firstborn. My mother have had 12 kids, 7 boys. And today only 2 are still remaining boys. And that's the oldest and the youngest. Now, why the others are gone, I don't know. We all got to go at one time or another. But as the older one, I'm reminded that as we grew up, I had a responsibility for my younger brothers and siblings to have learned how to exist in the world in such a way that any struggles or any tribulations that I had to go through, I would be able to set an example for my siblings, for my brothers. And knowing and recognizing that in life, I wanted my needs, my wants, and my desires to be met. So understanding that it brings me to a conclusion that probably every human being like me, or alive like me, or made of whatever the same kinds of things that were necessary for me to exist, is the same for them to exist, that every human being on earth probably want their needs, their wants and their desires met. And being the oldest, I'm supposed to have learned from my parents what is required to achieve that. And I've learned, and I'm sure many of you have, that there are 2 kinds of living. We got the physical living and we got the spiritual living. Some of us might just refer to it as godly living. We found that in human living, that there can be a lot of problems. We think different. How to achieve certain things, we look at it a little different. And it is expressed in the systems of government that we live under. Like my family like your family. All of us want our needs, wants, and desires met, but how my family meet or tries to meet theirs could be different than the way your family tries to meet theirs. There might be some conflicts there. And the key is that if there be conflicts, we are supposed to work them out. Work them out to the extent that we are both satisfied. Sometimes that might not happen, yet we look at that as family. And if a family does not just represent an individual family, it represents a nation, a family. It's when we see that there are enough people to have various nations, but the nations would want the same thing as any nation would want, to have a satisfied life. I heard that we as Black people were the original people, the first people. That's what I've heard. That we have a responsibility to the rest of the world. And yet I also understand that we've lived so long till we have all gone through many struggles that were for anyone have been experienced even with the older Me being the older brother doesn't mean I did everything right. Mean I'd done a lot of things that my other brothers wanted to be just like me. Had nothing to do with right. But as I've lived, I recognize that I've been freed from some things. And when I say free, I was exposed to that which caused pain and suffering, that which caused the kind of things that I do not want. And so when I crossed that bridge, I decided I don't want to do those things again. I don't want to experience that. So I stop it. And stopping it, it becomes a reflection to my other siblings, to my other brothers, and to the nation, and the nation to nations. Well, history tells us that we were in slavery, a certain number of us, even though we were all black people, we were still various families, and we expressed ourselves in a way that we were different. And some of our ways brought peace, and prosperity, and freedom, and some of our ways brought hell. And we were just looking for the same things, but our understanding of how to do it was a reflection of who we listened to. Did we listen to our parents, or did we just listen to ourselves? And that kind of brings us to the point of what family did you listen to? Did you listen to your physical family? Did you listen to your spiritual family? So we recognize that with these various families, we got to put some priority there. What family gets the true respect? Well, you want to give the true respect to everybody. But when you experience life, you find out that there are situations where you have to make a choice. And the choice that I have concluded, and that I believe the world is appreciative of, is that the ultimate family, the parents that is responsible for the earth that I live on, responsible for the body that I live in, responsible for having those essentials necessary that I might survive, like breathing, is a parent that I should really give respect to, because one of my parents, while they did most that they possibly could for me, had nothing to do with maintaining the situation that I could breathe, had to do with maintaining the situation that I could survive continuously, and being caught up in bondage, which can come from wherever ignorance is and where people don't have the understanding or the faith to resist. But to make a long story short, is that God, who have provided for all families, is the power that we should give our allegiance to. I understand that we were, a certain group of us black people, amongst black people, were slaves. And that power that is responsible for all things freed us. Now, it was said that we went through hell, basically. But in the freedom road, we crossed rivers, we crossed the sea. That's a big thing, I believe. And the way they describe that sea, responding to the ultimate power, gives us all of the indication just what that power is that our parents could not do. Yes, we have heard information now that all of the things that we've been taught about the sea and all those miracles, that's why it's miracles and things, say they didn't happen. But that's neither here nor there. Those who experience them know whether they happen or not. And when you start thinking about the sea opening up so you can walk through it, depending upon the kind of things that we've been exposed to, we can compare a lot of things to the sea. And if we walked through them, it was like opening up the waters. But I hear that when we are set free, that having been in bondage, we should know different than that which we were exposed to in bondage. And so if we have the opportunity to be free from bondage, the first thing will cross our minds to make sure that it never exists again by exercising some new basic principles. by loving ourselves and loving one another and doing unto others as we have others to do unto us. It appears, though, history has taught us, or we've heard, whether it's true or not, that we fail to do that. We fail to experience, to utilize our experience to go forward, but rather, many of us wanted to rely on what we have been exposed to. And that means slavery. That meant bondage. That meant doing things that would not protect we as people, but just look for protecting we as individuals. Me for me and you for you, and we were not working toward together. And so it says that we here again will, rather than creating and experiencing a new land, a promised land, free from all of that stuff, we ended up making it again. And someone says that we were, in a sense, cursed to live again in that bondage for a long period of time in hopes that having been given that experience that we would have a new opportunity to create a promised land, and that anyone that would sink so low that they would experience the desire of treating others as slaves again would have to learn. But what I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, having said possibly everything that I can ever say, is that I, as an individual, here again, want my needs, my wants and desires met. I want, because of my experience, to live in the free, peace, prosperously, happy and joyous and satisfied, fulfilled, and to live life rather than dream of life. This kind of represents me. And being the oldest, being the one that who have experienced certain things, you give me faith to know that it can happen. It's not going to be easy. Nobody's going to just sit down unless they know, like I know, and yield to those things that would produce that. We're going to have conflicts. We're going to have them. But in those conflicts, it is for the ones that know to represent what is the proper thing and to show it. Today, if things didn't change overnight, I understand that while we saw some of the ugliest stuff, when I say ugly, I'm talking about the way people can treat one another in that response between Russia and Ukraine. Those people who want their needs and their desires met are willing to kill other people, to force them to acquiesce and become more or less subservient to the needs of others, to take their land, to take their freedom to be who they are. And in order to get that, to establish that, murdering babies, blowing up hospitals, murdering old people like me, or people who are handicapped, don't care, just have their way. That's the way of the devil, we say. And so the Ukrainian people were having to experience that. We also heard that there were other people, I think Israel and Gaza, experiencing the same things. But then if you don't have the leadership, if you don't have people in charge who stands up and speak righteousness, who stand up and speak those things that create obviously the heavenly life, because that is what it's called when you get yourself, when you can live a satisfied life, a life that you're living rather than dreaming. And here in the United States, we have a nation of people who are corrupt as can be, terribly corrupt. They do not care about other people. When I say they, I'm talking about enough of them to railroad their way over the others because there are good people in America as well. But the evil people, which in America today represents the authority in America, to the extent that their president of the United States is as crooked and as evil as any has been as far as my existence. This is what the evil people of America wanted. They reached out for people who said, I want to be your leader. I want to protect you. I want to do those things that we've experienced that you don't want to experience. And I'm the one to protect you. So give me the authority to serve you. And America says, we don't want you. We want a crook. We want a crook that would protect we, not all of us, but we want a crook that will protect us. To put it bluntly, we're talking about white people, MAGA, Republicans. They wanted a crook that would protect them who did not care anything about the original people, about black people, about people who have been in bondage most of their lives. And it made it possible for white people to say it's a privileged life. And so they reached out, and all the people that they could have chosen to lead, to represent, to help guide them through this period of time, they got the crook. They got that one that we would consider despicable. And that one that was considered despicable was connecting himself to other leaders of the world that are despicable, you know. And they were strategizing as anybody would strategize as far as maintaining the power. And for some strange reason, they have decided that they want to manipulate and control and change the rulership in another country, Iran. So in order to, they've threatened Iran, saying that they themselves are the strongest power on the face of the earth and you must not dare resist because we're coming at you. There's no way you can stop us. So if we put sanctions on you, that doesn't work. We'll threaten you. If that doesn't work, then we will start a war and kill you. This is America in partnership with another demon nation, Israel. So you got two demon nations, America and Israel, coming together, putting their forces together to cause pain and suffering to another nation that they say we want to protect ourselves from because one day they may rise up and become like us and we won't be able to control them then as we can control them now. Our sanctions, when we were sanctioning them, we wanted the people to rise up because they were experiencing the pain and to change the government. That's what the efforts of sanctioning was to do. The same kind of sanctions that are the troubles and pain that we as Americans have to go through, you would think would cause Americans to rise up and say, we're not going to put up with the evils of the leadership of this country. And we're going to commit ourselves to change. But we didn't change anything in America. And so right now, the Americans are ready to bomb and destroy property in another nation for not the benefit of the American people, but the benefit for those who feel that they are entitled, those who have been privileged in America, those who've been privileged in Israel. And the fact that babies might have to die, look, anybody of all the people might have to die. It's okay as long as America and Israel get what they want. And we, the people of America, we, the people of Israel, for a lack of faith, a lack of knowledge, we allow it to happen. We don't stand up. We don't resist it. Our children are the ones that's shooting the bullets, pulling the triggers, that's dropping bombs on people. It's not just the leadership. They're saying do it. And because we are still slaves, we do it. We. But love is saying this has got to stop. Black people in America and black people all over the earth who have been freed, who have been recipient of the benefit that only a God can do, have been held down. I think they say 400 years. You would think that if prophecy says it is our time to rise up, things start changing that only God can do. But in that happening, there are things that's required of us that we must do. We must change. We've been given the opportunity to change. Some of the pressures that have been on our neck are being removed by God so that we can breathe. And having the ability to breathe, we can flex our muscles and do what we would want others to do for us, to do for them what God has done for us. And the reason it is required of us is because it is the way that we understand and give allegiance and appreciation for the God that removed that foot off of our neck. So yes, God will be doing certain things, but there are other things that we, the people, must do. And the call for us today is to stand up, create that promised land, to make sure that the pain and the suffering that we've experienced in bondage is no more. To make sure that lying and cheating and stealing and hatred and racism and bigotry that has been the force that have allowed us to stay bent is removed. That's what the first, the firstborn should know. I, as a firstborn, should know this. And black people in America, the firstborn. Black people all over the earth should know this. And it is required of us. So on this day, my birthday, a reminder of who I am. So I come before you, the people of America and people anywhere, I hope when they get a chance to maybe hear what the good news that have been given, that I bring, is that we must stand up and quit this stuff. We must give the devil a chance to take a seat. We're not alone. And if we have to give up our lives, we have said and understood that throughout history, there have been people who have stood up and recognizing that they were not going to be a part of evil. They'd rather, some people say, before I be a slave, I'd be dead and buried in my grave. They are willing to do this before they cause pain and suffering on the lives of others. And I am without doubt that if and when we can grow to this point in time, and the evidence of it is that we did actually lose our lives because the devil couldn't stand us and didn't want us around. And God says, okay, then I won't leave them with you. So come on home. And we do die. But I'm convinced, I don't know for sure, but I'm convinced that it's worth it. They say Meshach, and Abednego says, God will save us from this fire furnace. But if God doesn't, we are willing still to be obedient to God. Now that's, I'm talking about being born again. And being born again is what is going to be required of each of us. But it does not necessarily mean that each of us got to sit around and wait for the other one to be born again. At the same time, it's at your birth. I came in the world by myself. Ain't this something? None of my brothers and sisters came with me. And so that means that I have to represent as an individual what life is to me. And life to me is what evil has done. It's time for evil to stop. America is an evil nation. And America must change, but America is not going to change on its own. America will only change when enough people in America stand up, and not waiting for all of us to stand up at the same time, but stand up as an individual. And as we grow, and we resist the evil things that of America. And not, when I say resist, I'm not talking about just resisting. I'm talking about creating the proper thing, the proper things of life that we as people want, not just in America, but everywhere, that would bring us this peace, prosperity. And that is, again, making sure that our needs and our wants and our desires are met, it, which indicates, I'm sure, throughout the human species, that you need food, you need clothing, you need shelter, you need education, you need health care. You need what you can imagine is essentially okay for you to enjoy life. It might mean building spaceships. It might mean going out of going through the galaxies to wherever you might get a chance to go. But doing it, that's what life is about. Living, creating joyously. So I call the American people today to wake up, change our way. And don't get upset because the system presently is representative of the devil. But let us affect a change to the extent that those who prop up an evil system can recognize that there are others who can produce what you say you want, what you say you need, and not be an evil devil to do it, but cooperate in such a way that the flowers grow instead of weeds. I don't think that's asking too much. And if it is, then let me be, oh God, faithful enough to withstand any of the threats. And if must be, joyously lay down my life for what is right rather than live for hell. So I beseech everyone, every human on the face of the earth to change. And I speak of change in reference to focusing on the power that created the earth, the power that gave you a body to live in, the power that is able to feed all of us, not just some of us, without killing and stealing, without hatred and racism. I advocate that we do unto others as we would have others to do unto us, and that we stick to it, because there are going to be some challenges, but those challenges are there just to give us an opportunity to substantiate who we really are. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to share these few moments with you. I can't give it all to you right now, but I have suggested that one of the ways that we can make sure that we can go to this area of creating a new homeland, a new promised land, or create an opportunity for every last one of us to easily be satisfied. And that's by giving each human being an opportunity to engage themselves in the process of life, by each individual choosing a career. The system is set up in such a way that each individual can choose a career that they love, that they can engage themselves in and become a part of the process of creating the heavenliness that we speak of by loving what they're doing. And when they've been blessed enough to do that, they can receive what the power of real power that created the earth can do by giving us, as we engage in what we love, what the world can't give and the world can't take away, and that's joy. And then we utilize our love and the joy, which is a it's an indication from God that God is satisfied with what we've done. God is satisfied with our choice, and God has blessed us by giving us that joy. And so we can go move through life actually loving what we do and letting that be a loving expression of what we respect and care for one another and giving God that glory by looking around in an absence of all the hell that used to run our shows. Gone. Why? Because we changed. So as I go through as much time that I might be allotted from this day forward, let us, let me allow myself to be an expression of love. I want you to be the same, but I can't make you be the same. But I do have control over me. So let it be me who will be a actual representation of what I've been saying. And let that be the energy that can persuade others, perhaps, that cross my path, that it might not be such a bad thing to do, and perhaps they might want to try it. Ladies and gentlemen, each of us got a role to play. Changes got to be made in our system, and there are those who got the wherewithal to engage and to move that forward, making sure that the situation is available, that everybody can engage themselves in their choice of careers, and that evil won't be able to stop us. Evil won't be able to stop us. It's a new day. I want to thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving me this moment in time to share with you on my 76th birthday a vision that is not new, but it is new. Till next time, goodbye for now.